Arab ambassadors and other ambassadors, honorable members of the parliament from all parties, community leaders, and I see many of our Palestinian community leaders here, veterans or still young, absolutely young leaders of our community. And I see many friends from the civil society, from the NGOs, human rights, and I am very touched about this particular meeting. And I must start by thanking the two mighty ladies to my right and left, the co-chairs of the APPG for Palestine, for organizing this event. And of course, for my co-speakers today, our inspiration, Layla Moran, and another big inspiration for all of us, Layan Muhammad. I do have a written speech and marked and dated and all that, but given all these faces and the friends, maybe I should not read a speech. Maybe I should say it from the heart. This is a very historic event in every sense. This very event, Saida, is very historic. Historic because it happens, it takes place in a very relevant place to the very event we are commemorating today, the Nakba, the 75th year of the Nakba. No one can underestimate the role of the UK, Britain, in what has befallen the Palestinian people. And for all these years, and for all the attempts at washing things away, you coming here today and commemorating it in the parliament is a paramount step in the right direction. So I start by saluting every one of you for making this happen and making it possible. I have 4 ideas to share with you. The first, Nakba in Arabic means not just catastrophe. It means when somebody loses everything. That's the real translation of the word. When somebody loses his home, her land, their country, their identity, their culture, their history, that's a Nakba. That's a catastrophe. And for all these years, my friends, Nakba, with its true meaning, did not really make it to the international mainstream, let alone the UK mainstream discussions, be it in the parliaments, be it in the government, be it in the media. And that's why Nakba 75 is a very, very significant moment for us, the Palestinians, to bring back the discussion where it is ought to be. Number 2, we do not just commemorate the 75th anniversary of the Nakba, we live it. It is an ongoing Nakba until this very day. Still, people back in Palestine, still they lose their homes, their lands, their properties, their lives, their livelihoods. As you may have just seen only the last few days, the bombardment of Gaza. Remember, those are also refugees. More than 2/3 of Gaza are refugees. And so is in the West Bank and the rest of Palestine, and of course, scattered around the region. And it is important that we stress that this is not a one-off event that happened 75 years ago, it's continuous. The ethnic cleansing that took place 75 years ago is still happening until this very day. And therefore, my third point is about the Nakba denial that has been happening for a long time. And hence, thus, the absolute significance of this event. And the denials and the negation started happening here long before Israel was established. By the Balfour Declaration that turned a nation that was living there for millennia, rooted, historic, civilized, cultivating our land for hundreds of years, feeding Britain millions of oranges from Jaffa every year, having industrial hubs in Nablus and Al Khalil, in Jenin and in Gaza, having the biggest and the most vivid ports, most trafficky ports in the region, being a hub, an education hub, a cultural hub. In the 20s, in the 30s, Jaffa, Haifa used to host all the big Arab and regional cultural events, including Kulthum. I see His Excellency, the Ambassador of Kuwait, and I welcome him here, and His Excellency, the Ambassador of Mauritania. But I mention Kuwait because still many Kuwaiti citizens have homes, properties, deep inside the 48 areas in Haifa, in Jaffa. And you know why Kuwaiti citizens have properties? Because Palestine used to be a main trade and education hub. People used to come and visit and live and study and graduate and all that. So the Balfour Declaration turned us into minorities that have civil and religious rights. At the time of the Balfour Declaration, not only we were the majority, we owned 98% of the land. So we only can pray in our own land. We have no political, we have no national, we have no collective rights. And this continued until today. The amount of lies about a people without a land for a land without a people. And still until this very moment, you hear it from senior Israeli officials and politicians, including just very recently by Bezalel Smotrich, the finance minister, who said in Paris that the Palestinian people do not exist. And I think he represents a considerable segment of that government, if not most of it. The lies about Israel's right of self-defense, that all that happened since 1948 and the Nakba, and the ethnic cleansing that is very well documented, still ongoing until this very day. And therefore, it is very important that we regain the initiative as far as the narrative is concerned. It's very important that we're doing what we're doing. I just came from Cardiff, where the Welsh Assembly commemorating, I have to say, before the London Parliament. And I'm always struck by how much support and principled support in Wales we have, Julie, and in England, and in Scotland, where we're going next, because the Scottish Parliament will be commemorating this. And therefore, it is crucial that we work all together, my friends, to make Nakba denial a crime. To make Nakba denial a crime. And together, all of us, start the process of correcting the grave, historic injustice that this country has contributed to, and that has been ongoing for 75 years. And the last word, and I see many good friends and faces, and I have a word about the UK government, current UK government. The current position of the government is rather fine, in line with international law and resolutions. That the government calls for, supports two states on the 1967 borders. That a Palestinian sovereign independent state should be established in that area with East Jerusalem as its capital. That all settlements are illegal and must stop and cease. But these are words. Words. When it comes to action, I've been here an ambassador for years now. I saw no action whatsoever. As if it's not enough that the government did not heed the call of this very house, the parliament, to recognize the state of Palestine. And all of you remember that historic vote in 2014, the overwhelming, Julie, you were there. And the parliament is not just a charity, the parliament represents the will of the nation, the political will of the nation. And it's not enough that the UK government is resisting our attempts in international forums like the ICC and the ICJ, the International Court of Justice. You know, the UK voted against the General Assembly quest for an advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice. And you remember the famous letter by former Prime Minister Johnson, where it says that the UK will not support the Palestinian efforts at the ICC because Israel is a friend and an ally. You see, international law only applies on foes, on enemies, not on friends and allies. And it's not enough that now there are attempts at curbing people's ability to divest their investment from illegal colonies. All that is not enough. But the UK was among 2 countries that declined to attend today's event in New York at the UN headquarters.
Shame.
Even that, even recognizing, sharing our collective pain that the UK had a direct, immediate role in, they have failed to do. I am disappointed. And it's a failure on our part as well, that in such a country that has such public support, such political support, such civil support, there is such a gap between the decision making and between the real will of the people. We, the Palestinian Mission, convened a commemoration event last Friday here in London, in Westminster Central Hall, where the first UN General Assembly was convened. And we meant it that way to remind the UK government that the United Kingdom had played a significant role in building the rules-based post-World War II order, that you hosted the first General Assembly, and we shall convene our commemoration in that historic, iconic hall. That the first UN General Secretary General was British. And we issued invitations to the government officials. Not one of them showed up. Disappointing. Because at least sharing the pain of a nation will not make you not neutral or imbalanced, will make you human, will make you a leader, will make you shoulder responsibility, will give you statesmanship and ownership of a peace process that could come. And I wanted to really say this because all of you here, most of you know the story of the Nakba. I don't want to stand here and repeat what happened 75 years ago and what's still happening on a daily basis. You all know it. What we are ought to say and repeat, and here I'm going to finalize, is that while there is a lot to be desired from the government side, I am, and our team, and many of our friends are absolutely inspired by the growing solidarity and support in this country, by the depth of feeling in this country, by the people, especially the youth, by the institutions. And I see the director of PSC, and we saw the demonstration only a couple of days ago. Thousands of people came from all over the UK. Wherever we go, I just came from Wales, as I told you. My God. The real love, the love not for Palestine only, the love for justice, the love for rules and law, the love for common decency, the love for a fair play and fairness. And I will not tell you what I will encounter in Scotland when I go only 24 hours from now. But the love the Scottish people have for us and for justice is, I dare to say, unmatched, because also the Irish, also the English, and everywhere, but the love there in Scotland is... So we have all what it takes. We have all what it takes to turn history on its head again and correct it. We have the people. We have the high moral grounds. We have international law. We have the masses, and we have the MPs, by the way. And I meet them regularly here. The majority, the numbers. All what we lack is the coordination. All what we lack is the organization. All what we lack is events like this that will take us far forward. For that, I bow for this event, and thank you very much.